podcast. Today we are going to be doing a threefold chord, and we are going to be discussing Ruth 1:16, which says, "And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God." And the first question I have that I would love to ask is, what does following mean, right? We say this word, and a lot of the times it can be counted as church lingo per se, but what does it mean to you all? Like, what does following mean?
I would say that I think that following is kind of like a giving up of your own pride. It's like to be able to be like, okay, I know that it's human to believe like I know all the way, I know what I'm doing, but it's the idea of I'm setting away my pride and I'm truly believing that the person who is in front of me knows the way better than I might. So it's that humbling experience of realizing that yes, I am human, yes, I want to do things certain ways, but if God is leading someone ahead of me, I should have to be able to follow them.
That was really good, because I was trying to think, because I asked this same question when we got the topic, but I didn't have an answer. I think that's really good. I think a lot of people have heard the story, I hope, of the children of Israel. And that's what Vinny reminded me of when she was talking, because they literally were following Moses through the desert, through a place they've never been before. Right. So they really had to rely on the fact that, God was speaking to Moses, and God had a special relationship with Moses, and that God was leading him in the right direction. And I think for us, it's interesting in the fact of like, I feel like it's harder for people nowadays to believe that like they're being led the right way. Right. Like you said, like everyone wants to be on their own, everyone wants to live their own experiences and all that. And I think in our day and age, we really have the bonus of having like the Bible to reference that, to back it up, to be like, okay, yes, they are being led of God. I totally agree. It's putting away your pride. It's understanding, yes, that you don't know it all. Right. And that God has proven to you through someone else that God is speaking to them. You've seen the proof in their life and in your life. So then you're like, yes. I want to keep wanting to say the word follow, and you can't use the word in the definition.
Yeah, of course.
I would say, like, there are so many different definitions to following. For us, a lot of the times, we'll say, like, if we go on a church trip, we'll be like, well, I want to follow, right? So we'll say that. Or following could be when God gives our bishop-and-elect lady a word, and we sit in the pew, and we listen, we hear the word, but when he says, don't take the bait, and we go out and we don't take the bait, I feel like that's following, right? Because essentially you're following what God is giving the man and woman of God. Following could also mean servanthood, like when you serve or get on auxiliaries, like that is a part of following. Whatever the ministry does is something that we are part of and do. So essentially, I was thinking about this. It's funny because today I was having a conversation and I was asked the question, what story in the Bible still kind of confounds you, right? Is confounding. And I thought about the story of Naomi and Ruth, because I'm like, what made Naomi want to follow? What made Ruth want to follow Naomi? Like, did God do something in Naomi's life to where Ruth was like, I want to partake in that? And it never really says. So it's like, the thing about following is interesting because it's like, she must have saw something that intrigued her. Right.
That's what I was trying to say. Yes, that's what I was trying to say, because like, it has to be proven to you that God is speaking to that person, that God is leading that person, because otherwise you're really like a sheep, as people say, even though really being a sheep is a good thing. But you're like not being blindly led. But I will say, like, in movies about Ruth, they try to like put in more context, and they're like, well, she must have been teaching her about God or something. There must have been something like attractive about this God that she never heard before because she's come from like serving idols. I feel like there had to be something that really attracted her about this God of Israel or whatever that led her to following Naomi. But it's a really, really good question.
It is. I will say this, okay. Just for like a little background. You don't have to care about me. Because I'm gonna keep going back and forth with you all. So you guys know how the story of Ruth goes. And they always say that they were giving up the daughters unto the idols, right?
Yes.
So I feel like in my mind, when it comes to that, I feel like what drew Ruth to Naomi was the idea of a mother that did not see their child as just like an item or an object, because
that's a great
they're
point.
always like, now I don't fully understand the whole giving your children up to idols, but hey, they were doing it back in that time. But I think like, because of course they always say that like children, as when they're young, they want to see their parents prove their love in the things that they do. And I think that Ruth was able to see something, and maybe, this is just me throwing it out there, maybe Ruth was able to see something in Naomi that she didn't see in her own mother. She's seen a woman who left her country, of course, and did everything for her sons. I mean, like, her sons did not even marry their people. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, y'all know how y'all parents be. So it's like, and then for her to take in the girls after her sons died, she wasn't immediately like, hey, y'all gotta get out of my house. Like, I don't want to see y'all no more. But she was thinking of it from their point of view. She had took on that selfless act of being like, I have nothing to give you. And I don't think, Ruth probably never seen that, of a mother who was so selfless and loved her children so much that she would be willing to suffer alone instead of bringing her children along with her. So that's just a thought.
No, that's a great point, because if they were sacrificing their children to idols, it probably was more of a self-centered culture.
Right.
And then Jewish culture is completely opposite of that. It's very family oriented. So for them to for her to still keep them as a part of her family until she had to leave and was like, I have nothing to offer you. Not like I don't want you, but I have nothing good for you.
I can't give you anything.
Yeah, so that's an excellent point.
Because then it makes me think in terms of Orpah, right? Because, and I was also thinking about this for a while too, because Orpah and Ruth, I don't think they had different experiences. I just think that Orpah was more so, I don't know if she was in tune or looking for something.
Yeah.
I know she, went back to her gods, but what's interesting is a lot of the times we read the story and we forget that Orpah went a ways with Ruth and Naomi. Like, she went with them and then decided to turn back.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times I was thinking about this and I was like, a lot of people, when it comes to following, and we just kind of defined what that is, they'll look at kind of people who are a little bit older than them and they'll be like, I want to be like that person.
Right.
I want to follow like that person. Or some of their peers, they'll be like, I want to follow like them, be like them. But it's like, a lot of the times we cannot look at what the other person is doing, because it has to be a personal thing. And that's what I think, going back to the first point, I think that's what Ruth found. She found the importance of following for herself.
Yeah.
And I don't really think that Orpah got a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing is, when it comes to the difference between Orpah and Ruth, because like you said, they had gone through similar experiences. They both went with Naomi for a good amount of time.
Right.
And it even said that Orpah was crying when she had to leave. So I feel like it comes to the point where, and that's one major thing about following, I feel like there's a difference between understanding that you're being led and putting your leaders on a pedestal that you kind of forget, like, they're still human too. They still make mistakes. So it's like, Naomi has something to offer you. You guys are now going back to her home. And it's like, what's there for me? It's like, Naomi, you failed me. You couldn't give me anything. And it's like, you put these people on a pedestal, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it. They great people. You get a good leader, and you're like, wow. But I think sometimes we kind of make them angelic. So we forget that they're humans. We forget that they make mistakes. And it hurts us more when we don't see them do what we think that they should do. Because she was thinking, she was probably like, wow, Naomi right.
Yeah.
If she gets another son, what am I gonna do with him? That's a child. I'm gonna have to wait for him to get older. And I think it's that part of being, just a human in general, when that anxiety comes in and you're like, I can't wait forever.
Yeah.
I can't wait on this person. Yeah. And it's like, I have nothing to wait on because she can't promise you anything. So, yeah.
No, I think that is probably really what got her, because I feel like a struggle that a lot of people come up against when it comes to following spiritually is the unknown. Like, we don't know what's ahead. We don't know necessarily what God is leading us towards. And especially if God's doing something new. Like, the Ruth thing, completely unheard of. There's only like 2 Gentile women in the Bible, or 3, that really, no, 2, because Esther is not a Gentile. No. But yes, those 2 Gentile women that really made a huge impact in the Bible. But like, that's
the Syrophoenician woman.
That's true. Yeah, because I'm thinking Rahab and Ruth.
I was trying to figure out the first one. I was sitting there like, I wonder who she's talking about. I was like, man. Oh, she gets to who she's talking about.
But yeah, no, I think the unknown is so hard to like face when you're following, and you're like, I feel like Orpah went with what was secure, what she already knew, what she felt safe in. But just because you're safe, like, what is it? Comfort is the enemy of progress. Yeah. So like, when God is trying to do something new, and we're still so stuck on like what feels good, what feels safe, what we know, like, I don't know. It's like, that's the problem. Yeah. You know it too well.
Right.
You can't be stuck in what you know if God is doing a new thing. Like, so I think that's just an internal battle, like trying to face the unknown and be like, no, God is leading me to what I need to go through, and whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Yeah, and like, I was thinking about this week, like, uncertainty is scary. Like,
yeah.
Not knowing what the future holds. Like, I wonder how people are so... they can be so peaceful about not knowing exactly what it is that God has for them to do. It's like, it's uncharted territory that you're going into almost. So it's like, I had to come to a point where I was like, you know what? I know that I have a purpose. I'm not 100% sure what that purpose is, but I know for a fact that God is going to give me a godly confidence to be able to step into that thing. And I think that is something that Orpah really needed, but did not have. And it's also something, like I was going back to what I was saying before, it's gonna have to be your own journey. So that's another question I would ask you guys, is how did you come into your journey of following? Like, what was it that made you become, and we say this often, we say we're daughters, right? Daughters of destiny. We would be daughters, and then the guys say they're sons. But what was that pull that was like, I want to be a daughter, I want to follow, and I want to be a part of what God is doing?
Yeah. That daughter thing is largely inspired by Ruth, because she was not her biological daughter, but she engrafted herself into that. Like, she felt like God was calling her to follow Naomi.
Right.
But for me, it was a certain feeling. Like, at our church, we do a lot of like projects and things. We work on a lot of stuff. We serve a lot. And if something would happen and I wasn't a part of it, like, there was this feeling of like, FOMO. What am I doing? Not even like FOMO, yes, but not even like I miss being around people or talking.
But you want to like be a part of what
like my hands were not physically on anything that was done. I always feel like that's a problem. So that's when I was like, yeah, no, like, I know this is for me, because I know that my hand has to be in some part of whatever move of God, whatever event that we're doing. So that was how I personally was like, yeah, no, following is for me.
Yeah, I would say that my journey is kind of like a short story. But I was very young at the time, and there was something going on in our church. It's a whole thing. And I remember our elect lady, a person had to make a statement. Is the whole thing. A person had to make a statement, and our elect lady, it had hurt her so bad. And the woman who was hurt by the situation also, I remember our elect lady was just crying, and she called her up and she hugged her, and I just thought, I was like, wow, like, that is a true mother-daughter bond. Like, this lady was not our like lady's like biological daughter, but it was like she had that bond with her of she's been hurt and I don't want to see her hurting like this. And I feel like that was just kind of like my pull of like, I want to be loved like that by a woman that does not have to. Like, you're not burdened to be my mother. You're not like, I'm not your daughter biologically, but I want to have that relationship with you where when things happen in my life, I can move you like a real daughter. So yeah.
That's it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, we hope you enjoyed. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you learned a little something more about following. You know, God's given you the right ones. Go ahead and follow. Make that choice to follow.
You got this.
What is the outro for this?
We do this every time.
Every time.
I guess we'll catch you later.
Yeah, we're just gonna catch you later. Bye.
Bye.